Thank you very much, colleagues. His Excellency, the President, the Honorable Premier of the Province of Gauteng, the Honorable Executive Mayor of the City of Johannesburg, Honorable Ministers, Deputy Ministers, the MECs present, the MMCs, DG Baleni, all the DGs, HODs, and colleagues, thank you very much that you have gathered again for the second day in Gauteng, but our focus today is on Johannesburg. On the same note, I would request that we observe a moment of silence before we begin our proceedings. Thank you. It's a bit longer today. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President, for once again causing us to meet in the city of Johannesburg as a continuation of a dialogue that started yesterday. Without any further waste of time, I would want to go to the second item in our program for the Executive Mayor, who will welcome us, colleagues. Today I will be sticking on time, and I would request any member who makes a contribution, the contribution must be solution-oriented. The Executive Mayor will narrate the scenario of Johannesburg and all challenges. And our contributions, I will invite that we contribute with the intention of presenting solutions. I want to take this opportunity, therefore, to request the Honorable Mayor, Councillor Tata Morero, to make the remarks as the Executive Mayor of Johannesburg.
His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Premier of Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, members of the Provincial Cabinet, Madam Speaker of the City of Johannesburg, Councillor Nobuhle Mthembu, our Chief Whip of Council, Sitembiso Zungu, members of the Mayoral Committee, administrative heads across the city, province, and national government, and guests, good morning. We completely agree with you, Mr. President, that if Johannesburg works, South Africa is a better place. Johannesburg for many years remained the economic hub of Africa. Therefore, if we fail, Africa is indeed in trouble. This view we do not take lightly. We are the home to 5.8 million residents living in a 1.8 million households and roughly 320 informal settlements. We are the government that has ensured that 89% of its people have access to formal dwellings. 98% of its people have access to water. 94% of its people have access to electricity. 93% of its people have access to sanitation services, and of course 90% of its people receive waste removal services. We understand that more needs to be done, And that is why we are here today. And for that, we thank you, Mr. President. And why Johannesburg? Data from the World Bank Global Economic Prospects tells us that Johannesburg's gross domestic product, which is the standard measure of the value added created through the production of goods and services in a country during a certain period, is amongst the highest in Africa. In 2025, the growth rate of the world economy is at 3.3%, followed by Sub-Sahara at 3.0%, followed by Johannesburg at 2.1%. Then South Africa follows at 1.2%. What does this mean? It means we are best placed to be the home for South Africa's G20 presidency. Mr. President, rest assured we have heard you. From now, watch the space. We will not disappoint you any further. As the people of Johannesburg, we are ready to host the G20 summit. Johannesburg is the gateway to Africa and the rest of the world. Gauteng is the birthplace for humankind. These two unique combinations add an interesting flavor to our G20 presidency, and no other nation can make the same claim. To members of the executive, we understand our challenges. These challenges are structural, systematic, and financial. Local government is complex. Therefore, we need complex, innovative solutions to resolve and solve our challenges. As we take incremental steps to resolve and solve our challenges, we must, 1, strengthen our oversight mechanism on municipal entities in order to reduce irregular expenditure and improve financial transparency. This oversight responsibility will force us to implement good governance principles, address our revenue collection inefficiencies, debt management, and unfunded mandates impacting service delivery for us to remain on a path of financial sustainability. Modernize water, electricity, transport, and ICT infrastructure to meet the growing demand. Alone, we will not resolve these challenges. It is against this backdrop we took it upon ourselves to write to you, Mr. President, and request your presidential intervention. Furthermore, we have forged partnerships that are already working on the ground. It is not true that we are only providing services because of the G20. Remember the Boks versus the All Blacks game at Ellis Park. Not only did we win the match, but we won the hearts of South Africans because we cleaned and prepared the precinct of Ellis Park. This program has not stopped. Every day we are on the ground servicing the city with Josie My Josie as a partner, taxi associations, and property owners. Recently, the banking industry has reached out, and it is through banking lingo. They did say, how can we help you? Every day, through our community meetings and on social media, we're engaging our residents. Our approach is to listen and do more. Even the difficult times, such as the Johannesburg, even the difficult ones, such as the Joburg Crisis Alliance, we have engaged them, and we have put in place processes to resolve their concerns. Mr. President, as the city of Johannesburg, we are going through difficult times. Difficult times do not necessarily mean a crisis. We continue to provide services, save lives, and protect our environment. This is why we are aligning our U20 with the objectives of the G20. As we align, we must create pathways for economic opportunities that are accessible to all. Honorable Premier and the President, Municipalities in Gauteng are the engines of growth. Hence, we will continue to foster partnership, innovation, and entrepreneurship, particularly amongst our youth and marginalized communities. Together, we can share best practice to stimulate local economies and attract sustainable investment, which in turn can help bolster our financial positions. If Ekurhuleni succeeds, Johannesburg succeeds. If Mfuleni struggles, Johannesburg struggles. If Tshwane succeed, together we'll host a successful U20 summit. Mr. President, you asked us what will be our G20 legacy? This legacy, we will develop it with the people of Johannesburg during our integrated development planning, our community outreach program starting next month. As we shape our legacy, we'll ensure that our global imperatives are met. This includes 1, climate action and urban resilience. The impact of climate change are increasingly evident, and our cities must be at the forefront of the response. We will prioritize initiatives that promote green infrastructure, renewable energy, and sustainable transportation. By sharing our experiences and strategies, we can build resilient urban environments that safeguard our communities and the planet, ensuring that our investments are both environmentally and financially sound. Social inclusion and equity. A thriving city is one where every resident feels valued and has equal access to opportunities. We will commit to addressing inequalities and ensuring that marginalized voices are heard. This includes enhancing public services, promoting affordable housing, and fostering inclusive public spaces, all while finding innovative ways to finance these initiatives amidst budget constraints. The last point is digital transformation and innovation. As we embrace the digital age, we must leverage technology to improve governance and service delivery. We will collaborate on digital initiatives that enhance connectivity, promote smart city solutions, and bridge the digital divide within our communities. Investing in technology can also lead to efficiencies that reduce some of our financial burdens. To the media in the room, Lernar, we are the people of Ubuntu, and that is what makes us unique. For all those who have forgotten, Ubuntu is an ancient African word meaning humanity to others. I am what I am because of you. You have an important role to play. Johannesburg's developmental path depends on your ability to hold us accountable. Most importantly, you have your ability to report factual information and not to distort the truth is important to us. Let us partner so that we can close the communication gap between Johannesburg Council and the people we serve. In conclusion, Mr. President, we requested your support in the following areas: integrated public safety, strengthening collaboration between the South African Police Service, JMPD, Home Affairs, and other law enforcement agencies to combat crime and urban disorder. 2, technical support on infrastructure, assistance with national infrastructure funding, maintenance strategies, and project acceleration. Support for non-paying areas, collaboration with national and provincial government to improve revenue and address non-payment challenges. The intergovernmental relations support with National Treasury and COCTA, facilitating policy alignment and securing sustainable funding for service delivery. An integrated all-of-government support package anchored on the National Development Plan and the principles of the district development model will assist us to make Johannesburg a better place. The return on investment will be South Africa remaining the best place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor, for the opening remarks. Indeed, if Johannesburg succeeds, our country will move forward, since Johannesburg is the largest metro in South Africa. Colleagues, without any further waste of time, I want to take this opportunity to request the Honorable President to make his opening remarks and to set the tone for our meeting. Your Excellency.
Let's be seated, please. There's so many microphones here. Minister Tlhabisa, acting as our program director, the premier of our province, Panyaza Lesufi, Executive Mayor of Johannesburg, Councillor Dada Morero, ministers and deputy ministers here present, MMCs of our Johannesburg Metro Council, the Speaker of the Council, colleagues and various officials of our government, both national, provincial, and at the metro level. I want to thank you for attending this important meeting. I thank you because it is an important get-together, largely also because this is a pivotal year for our country as we become the first African country and you becoming the very first African city to host the G20. A G20 which brings together many nations across the world who will descend and gather here in your city at the Leaders Summit in November 2025. In an increasingly complex geopolitical environment, we have an important contribution to make to strengthen the multilateral system by the holding of the G20 here, and more importantly for advocating greater representation in the G20 processes and decisions, the views of the Global South. As Johannesburg will be the host of the G20, it is here in this city of gold that world leaders will gather to discuss issues of global importance. This positions Johannesburg in an important place. And that is why yesterday I even spoke about what legacy shall we have for Johannesburg beyond the G20, but not only for Johannesburg, but for the people of this precinct, Johannesburg, and this province. I would like to see something that will be left behind, not only the memory of having hosted the G20, but something much more substantial. Not only rising in the morning to clean up the streets of where the G20 will be held, but how the streets of the places where our people live will be remaining cleaned up. The visit today by the National Executive, as in ministers and deputy ministers and senior officials in government, is part of our efforts to strengthen cooperative governance and implement the district development model. This is a representation and a display of the distinctiveness of local government, but also the interdependence of our various government structures, that in the end we are dependent on each other as layers of government in order to work to achieve the aspirations of our people. Yesterday we met with the Gauteng Government Executive Council and dealt with the province's priorities to drive inclusive growth and to create jobs. The presence at yesterday's meeting of the province's executive mayors from our metros was an important reminder of how the work of all spheres of government are closely intertwined. The city of Johannesburg is special, in fact, very special to all of us. I grew up here. It is also where millions of South Africans have come to shape their economic future in pursuit of a better life. As the largest metro in the country, that is responsible for 16% of our GDP, Johannesburg is integral to the economy of our country as a whole. It is the economic and cultural heartbeat of our nation. In the end, Johannesburg's success is essentially South Africa's success. By the same measure, when Johannesburg struggles, when it struggles to overcome its own challenges, the effects are felt right across the whole country. And Johannesburg today faces enormous challenges that range from financial, governance instability, to rapidly deteriorating infrastructure. Water and electricity interruptions have become the norm. This has an enormous impact on the quality of life of citizens and the operations of businesses. The road infrastructure faces tremendous challenges. These include the vandalism that continues to take place, the vandalism of our traffic lights, dysfunctional street lights, and rapidly deteriorating roads and bridges. It was the other day when I was going to Chiawelo in Soweto, and I drove through the city and into the township, and it was like driving through a dark city. And I longed to see the beautiful contours of my city through street lights, but there were none. These are just some of the challenges that are constraining growth in our country's economic heartland. Because it is displays such as those that attract investment. I had occasion to travel to Addis Ababa a few weeks ago. It used to be a backwater city, the home of the African Union. And today, as you travel through Addis Ababa, you just see well-lit streets, clean streets, and businesses are thronging and almost falling over each other to invest in Addis Ababa. And this is so because they have created an environment, a very enticing and attractive environment that brings businesses, investment, and working people together to boost the fortunes of Addis Ababa. Johannesburg used to be like that. As national government, we understand the constraints faced by the city and appreciate the leadership shown by the executive mayor and his executive to stabilize governance and financial management. Without these critical levers, service delivery will not improve, and investments will not flow into the city, because investors are only attracted to any place to invest when they see progress, when they see cleanliness, when they see a crime-free environment. They come in their thousands. Through Operation Vulindlela, government's economic reform program, there is increasing recognition of the need for local government reforms that enhance capacity, strengthen financial sustainability, and make it easier to invest in infrastructure. Many of the challenges that are currently faced by the city of Johannesburg are similar to those faced by other metros. So you are not an outlier. You are facing similar challenges that other metros are facing. And in the case of one metro that has faced the same challenges but is now turning around. A year ago, I established the Presidential eThekwini Working Group with the support of local stakeholders in the district development model style. This included business, it included civil society, it included provincial government, national government, as well as labor. Working with these stakeholders and the eThekwini Metropolitan Municipality, led by Cyril Xaba, the mayor, we were able to unblock several challenges. Durban had declined as the tourist attraction center in our country, to a point where many tourists had just fled away from Durban. The sea line or the beaches were no longer places where people could go and entertain themselves and relax. It took a real turning around, but a turning around that involved many stakeholders working together. And now eThekwini is turning around. We were able to fast-track water supply agreements with the Upper Umkomazi Water Project, improving effluent compliance and reducing non-revenue water through infrastructure upgrades. We ensured a successful summer holiday period as beaches remained open and holiday hotspots were cleaned, critical infrastructure refurbished, and police visibility was increased. What was most pleasing was having a meeting with the stakeholders combined, and business people were almost falling over each other, rising to say, we're now ready to invest. And some of them saying, this hotel and that hotel that had been closed because of the degradation of the city was now going to be reopened, and vast investments were going to be put into opening those historic holiday places. A new vibe, a new resurgence had risen in eThekwini, and largely because the key stakeholders had decided to work together. And hitherto, they were pulling in different directions, and they even said it seemed like the government, the metropolitan government, was not willing and prepared to listen. And as we brought them together, as they conversed amongst themselves, they realized that they had a lot in common: to revive eThekwini, to replace Durban as the tourist center in our country. Now, the result of this ongoing work in eThekwini has been a marked improvement in business confidence and a sense by all stakeholders that eThekwini is on the road to recovery. They still have a number of hurdles to get over, but they are on a journey of true recovery. Having seen how the district development model plays itself out, and essentially it is a model that breaks down silos, that brings the whole of government to work together, that brings various stakeholders, even those outside government, to work together. And having seen how that has been effective where we've implemented it thoroughly, we would like to implement this collaborative approach here in the city of Johannesburg, and to do it underpinned by the district development model. We are proposing the establishment of the Presidential Johannesburg Working Group to have the same effect. Now, what this means is that the situation that has evolved here has led you to invite the President into your council chamber. I am now here. I am now here, and we are going to work together to rebuild Johannesburg, to take Johannesburg back to its glory days. But we are going to work together. Yes, you can applaud if you like this, because we are now going to do real effective work. Because this will bring together all levels of government and the expertise of our various stakeholders to accelerate service delivery, to stabilize your city's finances, as well as operations, and enable economic growth and job creation. Now, many moons ago, Kenny Kunene sought to see me, and he sent a message that the infrastructure of this city is just falling apart. And he immediately said, it's going to require billions and billions. And I started wondering, when last was Kenny Kunene able to calculate all those amounts of money? But he was foretelling a situation that is really gripping this city. Your infrastructure in this city is archaic. It was built in the apartheid days many, many years ago and needs to be attended to. So we will need to refocus on the rejuvenation of the city in all its ramifications. And this historic part of our city, and Johannesburg, is the history of our country. And it is this history that has been allowed to deteriorate for far too long. Efforts must be taken to make it a livable, thriving, and safe place for all our citizens. I did tell our Mayor, Dada Morero, and the Premier that one evening, traveling from Soweto, I wandered into the city late at night with my protectors, obviously. And as we drove through the city, I must say I was hugely impressed by the safety sense that I felt in the city, because JMPD was all over the city. I stopped counting how many vehicles there were and how many officers there were in the various streets of the city. That was most impressive, and you can applaud yourself for inserting safety in the city. However, while you are at it, I found the city filthy. The city was not clean. There was rubbish all over the show. I got out of the car and even spoke to the police officers. And I said to them, this city looks torn. Ka Sesotho re re e tabogile. Nga Luvenda re re yo kheruwa. E tabogile to environment, and indeed in many other townships as well. So part of beautifying our cities, part of injecting life in our cities, should be looking at our environment, making it clean, making it attractive and livable, making sure that we do everything with great excellence, like we do in our homes. In our own homes, we clean up, we pack things properly, and in our living spaces in the city, that's what we should do. And this should inspire us. For our citizens, I would like us to make them proud. Proud to be in a city that is alive and a city that demonstrates that it is full of opportunities. Gwede Mantashe, who was elected mayor for about 3 hours and then they fired him in Boksburg, always says Boksburg is a city of great opportunity. And let us make Johannesburg that. It must be a true place of great opportunity. When I drove around in Addis Ababa, you could see people walking around at night, because it is a lit-up city. It is a clean city. You could see they're walking around freely, lovers holding hands, and precisely the sight that many of you would like to see, of lovers walking in the street, holding hands, loving each other, but loving the city as well. Johannesburg used to be like that. I remember when I was a young man, walking around in Elof Street, just like that, hand in hand with somebody. So let's return Johannesburg to that. This city is crying out. It's crying out for rejuvenation. It is a painful sight to go through the center of the city and to see what it has deteriorated to. But it is possible. It is doable. And today you have a number of abandoned buildings. buildings that have either been hijacked, buildings that are not paying your rates and taxes. Those buildings can become investment vehicles where we can accommodate our people, where our people can live lives of dignity. I forever remember the other time when I came to the city when a building had burnt down. I got a sense that our people were really living in terrible conditions. And we can turn that around. Those abandoned buildings where the owners have either run away should be subjected to the law we've just passed, expropriation, even without compensation. They should be turned into living accommodation. And it falls very wonderfully in the interpretation of our Constitution and the law itself. And it would be for a purpose, useful purpose for our people. And through that, we will be able to light up the city, accommodate our people, and begin the process of ridding this city, great city, of various informal settlements. And that way we bring people back into the city. In many parts of the world, poorer people live in the city, but we want them to live in the city with dignity. We want them to live in wonderful abodes where they are able to have a sense that, yes, there is dignity, where they'll be able, yes, to pay affordable rental, where they'll be able to get good services, where the city will have water resources, good roads, good electricity, a good environment with a lot of greenery around, where we create a marvelous haven where people can come and live, play, and work. It is possible to do with Johannesburg. So I look forward to listening to how the mayor and the mayoral committee and all of you as councillors want to rebuild this city. For ourselves, from national government, we are prepared to work with you and to help you. And that is why I've decided that we are setting up a presidential Johannesburg working group, which will be similar to what we did in eThekwini, and eThekwini is being turned around. So turnaround time has arrived. We are now going to work and restore the glory of this city. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the open remarks that has paved the way